All right, so this is where we left off. And guess what? We have received from the furniture store, okay? Here is a bill and an invoice, and here it says assume that delivery charges are split 75 cents 75% to the counter and 25% to the shelves. So we received a bill, okay? Right? We received our 1 counter and 5 display shelves, okay? And here's our information, invoice number 69, okay? Here is the quote that we received, right? The counter cost us 10.33. The shelves cost us 102 per shelf times 5 gives us 502. I'm sorry, 510. Giving us a grand subtotal of the 1543. However, we got charged tax and we got charged shipping. Okay, delivery charges of $100. So our grand total bill here is going to be for $1,770.30. So this is where we need to start calculating our amounts because, once again, we received a bill, and let's take a look at our bill. When is it due? 15 days, right? So there we have it, okay? So if we're not going to pay yet. So in this case, invoice number 69 from furniture store. And now let's take a look at our assets. We purchased display shelves and we purchased a counter. So let's take a look at what account numbers those are. Okay, account number for the counter.
13020.
1320, okay. And the display shelves?
13040.
13040. So, general journal, once again, it is the 7th of June. We got a counter. And we got display shelves. Okay. 13040, 13050. Wait, no. It's 1320 and 1340. Let's see. 1320 is the counter and 1340 is the display shelves. Yes. Okay. And then last but not least, we also recognize that we are going to make a payment. Or not a payment. We're going to owe the company money. So therefore, accounts payable, which is account number 20,000. How I got that from right above. Okay. And it's for the total amount of the $17.70 cents. Okay. So on the side of your journal, this is where I want you to do your quick math or you do your little calculations on the side because, once again, that's exactly what you do on an actual journal. You can use the space in the worksheet. You're not obligated to just stay within the lines, okay? Especially if you're just doing a quick calculation on the side. Yes, you are allowed to do that, okay? This is where you could put your T tables, okay? So in this case, I need to figure out how much tax to split and how much shipping to split because the idea here is that we're making purchase of assets, right? Of fixed assets. And our definition of the cost of the fixed asset is going to be everything it takes to get the asset to the store and ready for service. So in this case, we had to pay sales, we had to pay tax, and we had to pay shipping fees on top of that to get the asset to our store. So in this case, let's take a look at our bill, okay? We have the counter, right? It is worth $10.33, okay? And we have our display shelves at a total of $5.10, okay? So how do we figure out the tax based on this?
So the 1033 times the 8.25.
Yep, so this times 8.25, or in this case, right, we're adding it
Do you
to,
equal round or no?
it would just depend. In this case, you should get a even number. So equal round. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like if you could just take a look at it from afar, or just by calculating it here, since we're not putting it in the actual cell here, I can just simply just figure the amounts out simply by just putting it here. So here, tax here. Oh, whoa, hold on. Yeah, that's something different. Let me do that again. Okay. Wait, actually, no. Let's do the tax again. So the tax is this. No. Let's do this again. Equal this times 0.0825. This times 0.825. Okay. So here I get $82.22, and here I get 42 and 8 cents. So let's add these up together. All right, so here I get 127.28, or in this case we can round up to 127.30, right? Let's see what our tax is. So our tax was 127.30. So in this case, I automatically see here that even if I did the equal round here and equal round here, my tax is going to be broken off evenly. So this one's going to be for $85.22, while this one is $42.08. Okay, because you have that 7.5. So these are going to be round up, and in this case, right, 85.22, and this is 42.08. There you go. You get 127.30. So there it is. You just figure out what the amount is on the tax here, and you can solve it this way too. All right? Don't forget, one thing here is that the counter and the display shelves. Now, usually shipping is going to be based primarily on weight. Okay? The heavier the item is, the more it costs to ship out to the store. Now let's take a look at this. Okay? A counter, right? It's not descriptive as whether it's a marble counter, a plastic counter, whatever it is, right? Compared to a display shelf. Now, can you say, would it be appropriate to split the delivery charges in half? $50 to the counter and $50 to the display shelves? Is that a fair way to say that? No, because the display shelves are probably going to be a lot lighter.
I was just going to say, I was talking, the counter is going to be a lot heavier and harder to move.
Exactly. So in this case, right, I've already described it to you that in this case, because I'm the accountant, I can say I want 75% of the shipping cost to be dedicated to the counter, and then the rest, 25%, is going to go to the shelves. At least right there, you can definitely see that that's going to be like a likely scenario, right? Now, again, because it's not specified, right? They just give us one shipping cost and they said, boom, that's what it is. Now, okay, you can figure out down to the exact amount if you want to. But once again, we are not like precising, or we're not making, we don't need to go through all that idea where we have to actually go and weigh each item. No, we don't have time for that. So the best way to just do it is just eyeball it. Just say, you know what, the counter's probably going to be heavier to move. It's probably going to be bigger, and it's definitely going to be heavier. So in this case, to make the shipping a little more easier to calculate, we just separate it that way. say 75% should be for the counter, and the remaining 25% should be for the shelves. Okay. Once again, you can figure another way out. You can do it by the dollar. Okay. You can use it that way, but once again, most cases, it's not by dollar. It is by weight. Okay. But if you did want a more accurate and more precise way of doing it, you know, be my guest, go pull out a scale and weigh them out and get the exact percentage of how much shipping you want to divide it to. But in this case, I'm just going to tell you, because I'm the accountant, and say, this is how I want you to record it. I want you to dedicate 75% to the counter and 25% to the shelves. So in this case, my delivery charge was $100. So how am I going to split it up now? So $75 is going to go to the counter, and $25 is going to go to the shelves. So in this case, you can just add these rows together, and what do you know? I have 11.93.22 for the counter, and I have 577.08 for the shelves. And if you add these up together, boom, you can solve that. It is exactly 1770.30 even. So again, utilize the scratch mark on the side. I think I should have taught you this yesterday when we were dealing with the first transaction. But once again, you're not obligated to be limited to the only space that you have on the actual worksheet. You can use the whole thing, including all the empty cells in the Excel. But you don't want to make notes and stuff all over it, because when you do print these pages out, you're only printing out just the charts that you see. So again, you can use the spacing for here because you can use it for T accounts and etc. So here, I've already calculated it here, and I figured that it is now 1193.22. And then this one is 5708. Okay, and here, if you want to, you can also verify that this is equal. Okay, whatever means it is, just so that you make sure that your books are always equal, like your debits and your credits always match. So there you go. Okay. Any questions? This is probably much more easier because you could actually physically see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess I'm lost
Okay, where are you lost?
on the delivery, because I figured if it's $100 and 75% of it went to the counter, then that'd be 75 to the counters and $25 to the shelves.
That's what she did.
That's exactly what I did.
That's a different amount.
Okay, so what was your total amount for the shelves?
1,033.
That is the counter.
Or shelves, 510.
Shelves are 510. So what's 510 plus 25?
535.
Plus $42.08.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay, so you could have mixed and matched.
Different.
Okay, so yes, yep. So I'm just making it easier for you guys so that you guys don't have to do super complicated necessary measures to figure it out precisely what it is. That should be just the general idea, right? When you're given instructions, like me, the accountant gives you the instructions as the bookkeeper, your only job is to just journalize it. That's it. Okay. You don't need to figure it out, but I'm showing you to kind of give you the reins to mold you into not just being the bookkeeper, but being the overall accountant. So there we are. Use the space anywhere. You're not limited to the space on the actual journal itself. You can use all the empty cells. Okay. And there you go. I figured out how to do it. I split the tax, and I've also split the shipping. So therefore, here are my amounts. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and add more information, right? I need to add my description here. Okay. because I received a bill from furniture store. Okay. And this was invoice number 69. Okay. Other things that are on my invoice says that when is it due?
15 days.
15 days. So that's definitely something you need to put here too. 15 days. And that should be it, right? You can specify that you split the shipping, the tax, whatever it is. But once again, it's not, that's also like not information you have to address. Okay. As long as you can figure it, just figure this part out. You should be fine. Okay. So there you go. I have it. Okay. So first, usually rule of thumb here is that now that we received our items, we need to go ahead and check mark that we received it through the purchase orders window. Okay. So in this case, my second purchase order, right, for the counter and shelves came in before my desk set. So there could be possible reasons. Maybe they had the desk set available, or maybe because you submitted it last in, they're like, okay, boom, we served it in. They put it on the truck. Maybe we're going to receive the second one the same day, maybe a few days later. We don't know, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still end up receiving the items. Whichever came first, at least you're able to keep track of it. That means our first purchase order for the desk set hasn't arrived yet. Okay, so at least we can indicate here that we're still waiting for the desk set. Okay. However, we can verify and confirm, right? The desk, the counter, and the shelves was indeed for the 1543. And yes, we received it. And we're going to indicate that we received it, and this was invoice number 69. Okay. At least we have a matching invoice with our matching purchase order. Okay. And that's how we double verify that whatever we ordered, we know it's coming and we fully received it. Okay. So that's all you have to do there. Okay. No deposits were made. No checks were written out, right? We're not obligated to pay yet. We could pay later on. So there you go. That's my journal. So now we need to place it into our ledger. Okay. Okay. So first things first is we acquired assets. So here is a hint. These are going to be furniture stuff. So it's going to be under the main account furniture. Okay. However, we specified specific items that we purchased under the furniture. Okay. The main account's furniture, but we have specific accounts for them. So we're breaking down the main account to solve for us receiving the counter and the actual display shelves. So here we have the counter. All right. You could say one counter, purchased one counter. Okay. You could put in information like such as, this includes sales tax and 75% of shipping, whatever you want to put in here. In this case, I'm just saying I got one counter and this is what it cost. No questions asked. Okay. Post reference once again, general journal number 2. Okay. And we acquired this counter for $11.93.22. And once again, my first entry into my journal. So therefore, boom. That means therefore my beginning balance in my counter account is for the $11.93.22 on the debit side. Okay. Okay. If we move a couple more down, right, you have the desk in the middle. Okay. We'll just go ahead and skip that for now. But now we need to recognize our display shelves. So we're going to enter, it's the 7th now. We purchased 5 display shelves. Okay. Post reference, general journal number 2. And we acquired it for the $577.08. Once again, since that's our first entry here, therefore we should have a debit balance of $577.08. Okay. All right. Everyone good with me so far? Okay. All right. Now that we've entered in our assets, we need to fill out one more thing, which is our accounts payable. So heading over to the liabilities, and here we are. Again, it is 47, and I'm going to go ahead and just indicate this is invoice number 69. Okay. Most likely you will unlikely run into the scenario where 2 separate companies are going to have the exact same billing number. That's very unlikely to happen. But for any of the chances that it does happen, I mean, you could just go ahead and indicate little scenarios there, saying maybe you could say the company name or whatever it is. But usually if you write in the invoice number, right, and you have the actual amount written here, you already know exactly what the bill is. Okay? So again, this is general journal number 2. And once again, we're on the credit side. This time, we now owe $1,770.30. Okay? So therefore, we're increasing the amount that we owe. Okay? So how this formula is going to work now is going to be I wouldn't say the opposite as what we've been working with, but in this case, right, we're going to take our previous balance, right? So we have a balance of $1,000, right? We're going to add any credits, right? Because credits increase our account. And then we're going to subtract any debit. So in case we make any payments to a bill, we're decreasing it. So in this case, by taking the previous one, adding any credits and subtracting any debits, it's going to give us our running balance. So here, because I made an entry here that I am increasing the amount that I owe because I received a bill and I didn't make a payment to it, therefore, it's increasing my accounts payable on the credit side because credits increase your liabilities while debits decrease the liability. So if I make a payment, it's going to decrease my account. Okay? And that's exactly what I did here. Okay, I'm going to take a look at my previous amount that I have, and because I started out with 1,000 and I'm increasing it by another 1,770, therefore my overall balance is going to be $2,770.30. So then again, because if you notice this, my cell referencing, I did not use absolute. So therefore it's going to be relative, meaning it's going, the next one, for the next transaction, it's going to pick up the one below it. Okay, so for the example, if I can pull my formula down, okay, if I go ahead and extend this to the next one, right, and I go ahead and show you this one, it pulled the information from the next row down. So here it's taking the previous amount, same thing, it's going to add my credits and subtract any debits of that same row. Okay, So that's how relative works. And once again, this formula can be copied and dragged all the way down to the very bottom of your window, except for the gray bar. Okay. So there I have it. So now I will always have a running balance. So every time I enter in more bills, and it will increase my amount that I owe. If I make any bill payments, it will decrease the amount that I owe. Okay. So that's the only difference here, is that instead of adding my debits, I'm going to be adding my credits. Okay, because that's the flow of the transaction, right? I normally have a credit balance, so therefore I'm going to add if a credit happens, but decrease my account when a debit happens. Okay. All right, so there you go. That's the accounts payable. Any questions?
I don't.
Okay. All right. All right, last but not least, we dealt with a vendor. Okay, and this time we received a bill. So once again, I received a bill from furniture store. So now we can finally go back to our furniture store and we can finally properly place in the information for the very first bill that we received. So here we are, furniture store. Today is the 7th, right? And in the notes, you could choose what you want to place. I'm going to say that I purchased a counter. Okay. I purchased a counter and 5 display shelves. That's it, right? Nothing else needs to be there because I didn't write a check. I didn't do anything more than just make a purchase. And once again, the invoice number is invoice number 69. Post reference is my second journal. And now this is where terms come into play. Here, was I given terms?
Yes.
Yes, it just says net 15. So no discount. But once again, terms doesn't always mean you're going to get a discount. It just tells you when the bill is due. And if they do give you an incentive, then they'll add in the percentage. In this case, I have my terms is net 15. So therefore, they're telling me that you're not going to get a discount, but the whole entire bill is due in 15 days. So once again, save some time. I'm going to click, I'm going to cell reference the date, and I'm going to add 15 days to it. And so then when is my actual due date?
So the net 15 is because we have the 15 days to pay it, right?
The whole thing, yes. Okay. So when we talk about terms, remember, you have that concept where if it's 1%, 15, net 30, all you're doing is you're not getting the discount. So you're left with net 30, which means the whole bill is due in 30 days. So in this case, because it's net 15, the whole bill is due in 15 days. Okay. All right, so we add the 15 days. So if we receive the items on the 7th and we have 15 days to pay for it, when is this bill due?
22nd.
22nd of June. All right. Once again, no discount date or no prepaid amounts, right? We didn't make any payment for it in advance. However, we received a bill amount for the 17,730. All right. And once again, I'm going to reformat this because once again, we're going to be dealing with furniture store a lot. Okay? And of course, let's go ahead and apply that formula because we didn't make any payments to it. So once again, you're going to start off with your invoice amount. Okay? You're going to subtract any prepayments. Okay? You're going to subtract your returns and allowances. You're going to subtract any discounts. And you're going to subtract any payments. So in this case, it says here that I owe $17.70 $17.30 for this bill. Okay, and notice this down here below. I left my equal sum here. So once again, it's equal sum just to let you know what's your overall amount that you owe to this vendor in general, totaling up all of your bills. So in this case, in grand total, I owe this person $17.70 for just right now for that one bill. As soon as I collect more bills and I enter it in here, then it's going to give me a grand total at the very bottom. Right? But for now, I only owe for that one bill for the $17.30. Okay? And there we have it. Okay? All right. So now that is that. Right? So we finished our journal. We finished posting to the ledger, and we finished posting it to our subsidiary ledger, right? We validated and confirmed that we received the items from our purchase orders. We didn't write a check, no deposit, so our transaction is complete. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and see what has happened next. Okay, so on the same day, what happened next?
We order some tables and chairs.
Yes, that is very crucial. If you're going to open up a coffee shop, your customers need a place to sit and to relax, because you want to set that environment that if it's a coffee shop, people don't just stop by and get their coffee and leave. They want to spend some time there. I don't know. So here you want to order some tables and chairs. So let's see what we have here. We want to purchase 10 sets of tables and chairs, right? Each set comes with 1 table and 2 chairs, okay? And per unit cost here is $6.05 per pair. So every table and chair is going to be $6.05, and you're looking for 10 sets of those. So in the grand total, you'll be quoted for $6,055.50. Okay? Yes, tables and chairs are expensive. Okay? Especially if we're going to go for the nice ones, right? We're looking for fancy bistro tables. So they're the very tall, long ones. Okay, so there we have it. So what do we do with this purchase order?
Put in our purchase orders.
Yes, we're going to put it in our purchase orders and look where we bought it from. We made another purchase order from furniture store. Okay. Right. You know, maybe we spent some time with the catalog and just was like, oh, how awesome. We should just also buy some bistro tables there too. So again, I'm just going to indicate that this order should be tables and chairs. Straightforward. Okay. And the total amount here is $6,055.50. All right. So there we have it. We're going to be having an eye out on our tables and chairs. Okay. And that's all we have to do, because we're just simply ordering. No transaction has been made.
Wait a second, I'm trying to, get my POs done still.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just explaining. So once again, that's something that we're going to take a look at, right? It's definitely something that we don't need to journalize it, because we're just ordering it. No transaction has happened. No payment was sent out, and no bill was received. We didn't even receive the items either. So in this case, that's all we need. What we need to do. It's a non-posting transaction. Okay. All right. So you say you have to fill out your PO?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So back to the general journal. Okay. So let's take a look at what happened next. So here, what happened here?
made down payment to Haley Brothers
Mm-hmm.
for the wrong amount.
For the wrong amount. Oh my gosh. So,
Oops.
whoops. So that means someone who did the calculation didn't do a good job. So now, therefore, best rule of thumb is, since we already sent it out, what do you think? What do you think is recommended if you're going to have to you sent them the wrong amount for the wrong check?
Is this where we would make a correction entry?
You are going to make a correction entry. That is correct. Also, too, is we sent the check out already. Yes. So what should we do? What's the general rule here? What should we do first? Okay, but we already sent the check out.
Okay, so would
Cancel
we,
it.
would we void the first check first and then put in the second check that we wrote?
Correct. But first, that's exactly what I wanted to get you guys to say. We already sent the check out for the wrong amount. Now, of course, it's more for what we wrote. It's less for what we wrote out for. And of course, they're going to deny us. They're going to be like, hey, dude, this isn't a third of the price. That's our agreement. So what we got to do is, now that we sent the check out already, we have to void it. Okay? So pretty straightforward. You go to your check register and you're going to actually place in here void. Okay? You could use red, whatever it is. Oh, sorry. Got it undo. So what I'm going to do here is Haley Bros. Okay? I'm going to put void. Okay? Obviously, that's not how you do it. You're going to have to call the bank and be like, hey, can you stop and void this check, right? You have to do a lot of procedures when you void a check. You have to make sure that you contact the bank to let them know so it doesn't get processed, okay? So in this case, I'm going to void the check. And if I void the check, what do I need to do next? I have to reissue a new one. Okay, so in this case, I have to now that I voided this transaction, I need to correct it in a way that in my books will make it look nice and sound, right? If I voided the check, what does that essentially do?
Putting the money back in the account.
We have to put the money back into our account. So this is where we're going to be utilizing the reverse and reentry, okay? Because now that we voided the check, therefore, we need to enter in our journal that we voided the check, so that means the money's coming back to our account. So, with that idea, and I've already given you the hint, we're going to do the reverse and reentry. So, let's go ahead and just focus on that one transaction. I voided my check, so therefore, how do I put in my journal that I'm going to be receiving that money back? Right, so
Give us a big hint. So we're going to be taking it away from our prepaid accounts and putting it back in our checking.
correct, because we voided the check. That means whoever, when that person receives our check and they try to cash it in, nothing's going to happen. It's already been voided. So in this case right here, yes, I gave you the big hint. You're going to undo the transaction because we voided the check, so therefore the money's going to go right back into our checking account. So here it is. We're going to increase our checking account. And we're going to undo the transaction here because we made we wrote that check out to essentially make a payment towards our brewer and grinder. In this case, we're going to reverse the entry here. So therefore, take away from your accounts payable and put that money back into our checking account. Okay. So once again, checking account is 10,100 and the prepaid account was 18,600. Okay, and once again, we're going to reverse for the amount. So I've already given you the amounts here. And if you didn't have this, where would you go?
A journal or a check.
Yes, you'd go to your check register to see what the amount was for. And in this case, it was for the 1140 $1,100,000.22. Okay. So now that I have this, I'm going to go ahead and indicate here that I am reversing transaction from June 6th and void check number 1506. Okay. So there we have it. You can say to correct the error, whatever you'd like. In this case, I made it so that it's a little more clear. So I'm reversing the transaction and I voided the check. So therefore, if you void the check, your initial thought is the money's going to come right back to you. So now that I have this, I am obligated. Every time I post my journal, I have to go back to my ledger because now I need to make sure I put the correct amounts back into my checking account. So every time you do a journal entry, whether it's you're doing multiple journal entries, I want you to practice right away. Once you complete one portion of the transaction, post it to your ledger immediately. Okay? Don't wait till the very end when you did the reverse and then you do the re-entry, because that's going to also cause you to have a discrepancy too. You may forget to add back that check and just go forth and write the new check in there. So in this case, let's go ahead and undo the transaction. So here, checking, of course, is going to be here, right? Once again, what you can do here is I want you to also note that you voided this check. Okay? And then once again, it's 6/7, and we're going to reverse check number 1506. Okay?
Which one is that under?
This is under checking. Yes. We're reversing the check number, so therefore we should be increasing our check account by the $11.40.22. So by entering it as a debit, because we are putting the money back in there, it's now increased my account back to the $11,361.
So now would we go back to the subledger and change the details on there?
Say that again?
Would we go back to the subledger and change the details where we put that we paid with check number 1506?
Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so we're still on the ledger right now. The subledger is when we do with our vendor. Okay, are you talking about the general ledger or the subledger? Ledger.
I said the subledger.
Okay, we'll hold off in that second in a second. So in this case, here, we did put back the money in our checking account, so therefore we have to also reverse our transaction here on our prepaid accounts account. Here we are, prepaid accounts. Okay. You could do reverse transaction, or you could do error on purchase order number 170303. Okay. So there it is, general journal number 2. Since we're reversing it, therefore, we are going to credit the prepaid accounts because we're getting rid of it. We're revoking it. Okay. So once you've done that, so now when you go to the subsidiary ledger, in this case, you don't need to really edit the information here because there's what I don't know how to say it, but you can edit here by saying that you voided the check. let me see where Haley Bros is. It's right under. So here you could say that you voided the check. Okay, but as far as entering in a new transaction, you don't really necessarily need to, because you don't need to, because in this case, how would you be able to reverse this transaction? How could you show that you'll have the money back? This one is not going to be something that you need to fully edit, except for just maybe adding that you're voided this check already. But once again, at this point, you still end up owing this vendor $0. Okay, so this part we'll edit after when we make our reverse transaction, when we complete the correction entry. That's when we'll come back and visit this part. But this part, you only come here and you just void it. Okay. All right.
Can you show the prepaid accounts again?
Say it again. Show on the ledger.
Let's see.
Okay. All right. So that was one portion of the transaction here. Now, of course, a few things that we need to do now. Since on our purchase order, we said that the down payment was 1/3 of the amount. So in this case, few things that we need to do. We need to go back and revise our purchase order, because in our purchase order, we've indicated that our down payment was the $11.40 and 22 cents. Therefore, what you can do here is, of course, we don't have the purchase order per se. What you're going to do is you're going to revise it. And how you're going to do that is you just indicate it that it will be subject to revision. So under my PO, this is what you're going to do. You're just going to go ahead and tack in the letter R for revision or revised, okay? So in this case, this purchase order, you're going to resend a new one to your to Haley Bros, but this time it's going to say that you're going to make a new down payment of $1171.87. So Melinda, if that's the correct amount that you calculated earlier, that is this is exactly what I was saying. When we're going to save it till later, because someone else calculated it wrong, and this is us fixing it. So right here, we need to revise the purchase order to let Haley Bros know that I'm sending a brand new check for the correct amount. So I'm revising this purchase order. Okay. So that's all you need to do. Just throw in an R to just say it's been revised. Okay. And of course, since we voided the check, rule here is that every time you go write a check and you void it, you can never use the same check number. Okay.
Where did you put that R at again?
I just put it right next to, yeah, on the PO. Yeah. So then for the check register, right, you never can use the same exact check number, because unfortunately you already sent it out. Okay, so it's been done, it's been used, you've already called the bank to void it. So your best rule here is you always never want to remove it from your actual books either, because then that's going to pose, a possibility of, fraud, right? What happened to check number 1506? I deleted it from my books. Well, why? Okay, so a good preventative measure is to just keep everything in there. Just make sure it says voided on that check somewhere. Okay, which I've already indicated on the payee section. I made sure that it says that this check is voided. So then after that is going to be done, we've revised the purchase order. Now we need to write a new check to Haley Bros for the correct amount. So in this case, we're going to now re-entry our journal.
Can you hold on a second?
Yeah.
See the POs real quick? rounding numbers off. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now that we completed our reverse of the transaction, right? We reversed everything, we revised everything. So now we are going to now cut a brand new check for the correct amount, and we're going to be issuing a brand new check. So we're going to send them a new check. Okay? So here, same thing now. We're going to re-enter the new transaction to correct the error. So in this case, we're going to use the same account, prepaid accounts, okay? And once again, we are going to write checking, okay? And this time, okay, so prepaid accounts is 18,600 and check is 10,100. And this time it's for the amount of 1171 and 87 cents. Okay. Okay. 1171 and 87 cents. Okay. So now next thing I got to do is, now that I'm for sure going to be sending and reissuing another check, now it's going to be check number 1507. So back to your check register, you're going to fill out the same exact information, but this time it's for the 1171 and 87 cents to Haley Bros. Okay. For the 1171.87. Okay, so now we have all the information we need to go ahead and properly enter in our description. So now we're going to say to correct the entry on June 6th, Hallie Rose, PO number 17303R, since it's the revised version now. Okay, and we wrote a new check number 1507. Okay. There you go. For most cases, this is usually what happens if a transaction is related to another transaction. It's not necessary to have a date, but once again, I like to make sure that all my transactions are dated, including if they're related to each other. So it's up to you if you want to do that or if you want to keep going. So then every transaction, if it's the same date, you don't need to reference point it. But once again, if you're coming back at this every other day and you're just like, well, I don't know what day I left off my transaction, well, that's a problem there too. So I like to make my transaction, every single transaction must have a date. All right. So everything looks good for my journal. Okay. So now we got to go back, and now we have to re-enter all the information back into our ledger and then now we have to enter in a new transaction for a subsidiary ledger. So let's focus on the ledger first. Okay. So here, right? Well, now we're already in prepaid accounts. So here, I'm going to go ahead and make that indication here that this is 1/3 down payment, okay, for PO number 17303R, since it's revised. And it's up to you if you want to put your check number here. But I'm going to say correct amount, just to indicate it there, right? Journal number 2. And this time we are now going to be debiting our account for the 1171.87, which now our account balance is now corrected. Okay, for the $7,826.04.
Can you hold it there for just a minute?
Mm-hmm.
What is that under?
Prepaid accounts.
Oh, no, I put it under the wrong one.
Okay. Okay. Do you still need me to hold it there, Melinda?
I'm good now.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go up to our checking account because now we need to validate that this transaction will go through and that the correct amount of money that's supposed to be taken out from my checking account is corrected. So once again, this time I'm just going to write check number 1507. No any extra information there. Okay, general journal number 2, and this time we're writing it out for the 1171.87, which now my bank account has now dropped down to 10,189.42 with the corrected amount. Okay. So now let's talk about our subsidiary ledger. Okay. There are many ways that you can go about this. Okay. You can edit the information and just clear it out and add the new stuff in there. However, in this particular transaction, right, I want to make sure that I show every single transaction that has occurred between me and my vendor. Okay, even if I made a mistake and I need to correct it on my end, I am not going to change this transaction at all. Reason being is because 1, you have a new date. 2, you have a new check. 3, you have a new amount. 4, you have a new invoice amount. Different, right? You have a different invoice now. So in this case, you can make adjustments, you can change it. However, you are changing sensible data that can affect you in the long run, because in this case, if you make any changes to this, what you're essentially doing is you're not validating that you made a mistake and that you voided a check and that you had the wrong amount in the initial. So what you're essentially doing is you're deleting this transaction and you're not making note of it for that reason. So for class practice purposes only, I want you to train yourself not to delete any crucial information. This is very crucial because this was our original purchase order. Okay? This was the original date. This was the original check that I wrote. Okay? I'm going to leave it in there because it shows that a transaction has occurred and it validates what happened to check number 1506. Okay? So in this case,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Would that also follow under full disclosure?
This was all, yes, correct. Okay, but in this case, you don't need to disclose it because you already displayed it here.
Right.
Okay, so again, full disclosure is meant for other pertinent information. You don't need to disclose that I made a mistake. So in this case, yes, I want you to practice keeping your transactions very clear and like keeping to the point where even if you made a mistake, at least you can see where the mistake was and that you attempted to fix it. Okay, so no, I don't want you to change any of this, and we're gonna take a look at this, especially with QuickBooks, because they will tell you in every single chapter, never delete your transactions. You can void, edit, and remove them, but you can't ever delete them. So if you do make any changes to this transaction right here, essentially you are deleting it if you're going to remove this, remove that, remove the amounts, okay? So once again, how I want you to do it is I want you to just enter in the transaction just exactly like this, okay? I want you to say that this was a correction, okay? Here's the correct 1/3 down payment, okay? And you wrote check number 1507, okay? Your invoice is going to be now your PO number 170303R, right? Because you revised it, okay? We're still on the same general journal, so that doesn't change, okay? But now we have a new amount in here for the 1171.87, and of course we also made a payment to it, so therefore we don't owe Haley anything. In fact, we owe them nothing, and this shows right here, right? We've already indicated that the check was voided, so therefore this transaction will cease to exist. However, here is my proof that I revised it, right? By revising the purchase order number and also by writing a new check out for a different amount, okay? So again, as you continue going down into business, you're going to learn it is very important that you do not delete any transactions because it will pose a problem to your company and it will look like you're trying to fraud the company, okay? So that's what I want you to do. So they're perfect. We have our transaction in here validating that we made a change, okay? So there we have it. We edited our checks, right? We validated, we did the reverse, and then we re-enter the transaction, okay? We wrote a new check, we revised the purchase order, updated our subsidiary ledger, updated our general ledger. So now we are finally done with this transaction, okay? Any questions? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see what happened next. Okay. So on June 7th, what do we have here?
We have an invoice.
We have another invoice. We got billed, okay? So let's see, where did this bill come from?
Furniture store.
Furniture store. And what was it? Aha, we finally received our desk set. Okay, so once again, same thing happened here. We got taxed and we got, let me undo that. We got charged shipping. So great thing is we only have one item and one item only. So our whatever total amount is there is whatever the total cost of the desk set is going to be, right? You don't need to divide or split any delivery charges. Whatever's there is there. So here they charged us $50 for delivery. A desk set could be very heavy, okay? And here we got charged for tax as well, okay? So everything is as is, and here the thing is we received a bill, so therefore we're not going to pay for it yet. So our conclusion here is, how are we going to journalize this? Okay. Check out your chart of accounts to see if you see any desk set.
130.30.
130.30. Perfect. Okay. And last but not least, if we're not going to pay it today and we're going to wait to pay for it later, what is our account going to be?
Payable.
Accounts payable. So desk set once again was 1330 or 130.30. The accounts payable account was 20,000, I think. Okay. And now we have to enter in the amount. So once again, we don't need to figure out the tax, to split the tax, nor do we need to split the shipping. So whatever the bill statement is for, that's how much the desk cost you to get the desk to your store, right? Including all the shipping and the taxes. So here we purchased the desk set for a total of $658.37. Okay, and that is the amount that we owe. Okay, all right. So, well, of course, since we didn't make any payments, so there's no need for the check to go through. Okay, deposits, no deposits was necessary here. However, let's go ahead and verify that we finally received our desk set. So our purchase order number 1, we did indeed received our desk set, and this was for invoice number 71. Okay, boom. All right, going back to my journal. Okay. And let's finish this up with a description. So here, what do we have? We purchased from furniture store, right? Received this. This was the invoice number 71, okay? And maybe some pertinent information would be, when is this due?
15 days.
In 15 days, okay? Other information, I don't think that should be good enough. You don't need to say that you purchase a desk set. It's pretty straightforward. Okay? And that's pretty much it for the journal. Okay? All right. Of course, now that we finished our journal, our next thing that we have to do is update our ledger. So, ledger, right? We obtained or acquired a desk set. So that's going to be under furniture. Okay, so that's my Supreme Coffee. Here we are. Desk set. Oh, this bistro tables and chairs, so one more. Here we are. Desk set. 6, 7, right? I'm just going to say you purchased one desk set. Okay. General journal number 2. Okay. And we increased our assets by $658.37. So 658.37. Okay. Okay. Last but not least, we need to also update that we are increasing our liabilities. So here, accounts payable, we're going to indicate that we received an invoice, and it was invoice number 71. Right? General journal number 2. And because we are increasing the amount that we owe by additional $658.37, which now brings our account balance, right? We increased it to by $600 more. Therefore, we now owe a grand total of $3,428.67. Okay. Okay. So now that we have this, our last thing that we got to take a look at is now we are going to update our subsidiary ledger. Okay, because we received a bill. Okay, and it's for furniture store. So right above it, here we are, furniture store. And once again, we're going to go ahead and put the date. And this time, I purchased a desk set, right? I didn't make a payment to it. My invoice is invoice number 71. Transaction happened as of the General Journal 12, General Journal 2. And let's take a look. Were we given terms? Net 15. So in this case, I'm just going to copy the line above. Net 15. Right? So therefore, since we solved for the first one, right? You can enter in the formula once again. If we take the date and we're going to add 15 days to this, so therefore, when is this bill due? June 22nd. Correct. And once again, the amount that we owe to this bill is $658.37. Okay. Once again, I didn't make a payment, so therefore this bill, I didn't copy down the formula. Okay. If I were to copy down the formula once again, right? I take my invoice amount, subtract out my prepaid, subtract out my returns, subtract out my discounts, subtract my payments out, right? If I go ahead and click that and I drag it all the way down, now, this is what I mean by this. Now we have two bills. We have one for my counter and display shelves, and I have one for my desk set. These ones are going to stay as is. This is related to that bill. However, at the very bottom, just gives you an overall amount of money that you owe in general to this person. So this one combines all your bills here, and it tells you that now you owe furniture store a total of $2,428.67. Okay, so already here gives you your grand total amount that you owe for that person. Okay. All right, any questions there?
Maybe that's what Alan was talking about earlier when he said he did a plus on the formula for the ending.
No, he said for this one right here, right? This one right here?
No,
Yeah, but
what,
he was
what
talking
she's
about
saying,
putting addition.
yeah, and I figured out during break what it was I was using, I had the other formula stuck in my head, one above plus two to the left, one to the right one.
Mm-hmm.
That's where so I got confused, but I went in and I only had the plus in like two other places and I fixed them.
Okay, perfect. So this one, again, you don't have to memorize the formula for that. You shouldn't have to. But for this one, it's just, it makes sense. If you have an invoice, right? What are things that are going to subtract from an invoice, right? If you made a prepayment or an advance payment, that's definitely going to go against your bill. If you return an item, that's going to go against your bill. If you receive a discount, obviously, you're discounting your original bill. And of course, if you make a payment, you're definitely going to go against your bill. So again, each formula that I do mention in each table is going to have some kind of significance. So just like the ledger tables, right? The reason why I'm having you add your debits and add your credits is exactly how we use the accounting model for. if I have a beginning balance and my transaction says I'm debiting an account, are you going to add or are you going to subtract? Is it going to increase the account or is it going to decrease the account? And that's essentially where the formula comes from. Okay. Again, I don't expect you to memorize or know fully how that formula really works. It's just the idea of looking at how you apply it and how it's now making more sense is that, oh, I see. Every time I debit my account, it's going to increase my assets. Okay? Every time I pay something, I'm decreasing my cash flow. So therefore, it's going to show that I'm subtracting out from my normal balance. It's decreasing my account. Okay. Woo. So any other questions? All right. So let's see. We have Start Water and Las Vegas City services through NV Utilities. Okay. Do we need to do anything with this transaction?
No.
No, right? No deposit needs to be taken down. No bill is required because here they're just saying, okay, well, if you're going to start this, right, water will be depending on how often you use it. City services, meaning your trash, right? You have to pay for the city to pick up the trash. If you, for any other reasons for city services, could be if they clean the streets, clean the parking lots, right? Some places do that. All right, those are going to be considered city services. Okay, so in this case, no transaction is here. All we know is we have water, and when we have trash day, it's taken care of. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to create our trial balance. So now it is 4:45. It's going to take us a hot minute to go ahead and complete the trial balance. So I'm going to save that for Monday. Other than that, make sure you save all of your forms because this is the very last transaction. So that means from here on out, we're going to run our first trial balance on Monday, and then we'll continue going on forward. Now, let me tell you this little notion here.